Dominic Waghorn, Sky News in Hamburg.
Right, well, let's talk about the G20 meeting with Oren Kessler. He's a political analyst and journalist, and he joins me from Washington, D.C. Oren, good morning to you. Thanks so much for joining us. So a particularly violent start to this summit. Was that expected?
You know, there have been, this isn't the first time that there has been violence at G20 summits. It's happened in the past in Seattle and Vancouver. I think what is a bit different this time is the scale of it and really the violence of it. We're talking about 76 police officers taken to the hospital, and the fact that we've got a U.S. president this time who is notoriously prickly to criticism, and there are some real questions about how he's going to respond to these protests, even if they aren't necessarily aimed solely at him, but rather at the summit itself.
Well, there's a fairly wide range of issues on the table for this meeting in the next couple of days. What do you think is going to make it to the top of the agenda? Well, I think the migrant crisis in Europe is going to be near the top of the agenda. Of course, NATO spending, NATO is going to be at the top of the agenda. President Trump, of course, has been pressing U.S. allies in NATO to pay the 2% of their budget, to devote 2% of their budget to security as they're called upon as NATO members. This is something that NATO members have been doing, but some better than others. And in fact, in Poland today, Trump singled out the Polish government for meeting that marker, but he it's quite certain that he's going to challenge some of America's NATO allies to meet that marker and perhaps even to berate them for not doing so. Well, let's talk about Donald Trump. A couple of important meetings. He's already had one with the German Chancellor Angela Merkel. No love lost there. How do you think that went?
Well, compared to the last time they met, it went quite smoothly. Of course, the last time they met was here in Washington a few months ago, and Trump quite famously refused to shake Chancellor Merkel's hand. This time, they shook hands. They went through all of the diplomatic niceties, but of course there are some major bones of contention there between Chancellor Merkel and President Trump, not least of them Germany's contributions to NATO, Trump's rather lukewarm to negative views on the European Union, and indeed the Russian threat as well. So they're going through the diplomatic motions, but I think there's a lot that they disagree on still behind closed doors.
Okay, and just finally today, Donald Trump is going to meet Vladimir Putin. What do you think is going to come out of that meeting?
So this is the first time these two leaders have ever met. I think it's in fact remarkable that it's only going to be President Trump, Secretary of State Tillerson, and their Russian counterparts, Putin and his foreign minister, who will be in these meetings. And of course, they'll be behind closed doors, so it'll be difficult to know exactly what was said. But I suspect Putin is a very canny operator, and I think he knows that this is a president who responds quite well to flattery. And I think he will seek to bond with Trump over their shared hostility towards the media and over this idea that Russian meddling in the U.S. elections was a hoax, and really to tell Trump all of the things that he wants to hear. And on the other hand, on the other side, I do not expect Trump to bring up that meddling with Putin. I suspect it'll be a rather pleasant affair for the two men, but one that Putin will get more out of than Trump. I think Putin is really looking forward to this.
Okay, Oren Kessler from D.C. Thank you so much.